Call the meeting to order. You all please rise for invocation by Supervisor Watson, the Pledge of Allegiance by Supervisor Sockwell.
Heavenly Father, we ask that you continue to keep our nation under your care and provide a clear vision of your will to our leaders. Please guide us as we consider the merits of each item that is placed before us today. We pray for peace within ourselves and throughout the world. Amen.
Please join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I need a motion for an executive session to be held August 20th, 2012 at 9 a.m.
So moved.
Second the motion.
I have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Committee and legislative reports. Supervisor Sockwell, do you have anything?
I have nothing this morning.
Supervisor Watson.
Nothing this morning.
County Manager.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask Steve Letowski to come up and give you a little update on the cooperation we've had with BLM relative to using some of our graders to help them in their fire problems up north.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Johnson, Supervisor Watson, Supervisor Sockwell. Mohave County Public Works was contacted in late July from the BLM Arizona Strip office as BLM has been handling a number of small wildfires across the Arizona Strip throughout the month of July. And given the monsoon storms that have occurred up there throughout the month, several of the BLM administered and operated roads have gone to a condition where they've been more or less impassable by firefighting and other emergency service personnel, equipment, and vehicles attempting to access those wildfire areas. And as a result, given the very time-sensitive nature of having to repair those roads and recognizing Mohave County had the superior equipment, superior operators available to assist, BLM reached out to Mohave County and requested such assistance. And we were bored and happy to accommodate planning for those resources and operators. And I'm very happy to report that Mohave County provided an impeccable response in terms of coordinating with BLM and their particular persons in charge of those wildfires, and learning about what they needed to have happen from the county's perspective. And because we have such superior motor grading equipment and operators, skilled operators, we were able to act in a very timely manner in coordinating with both the county manager's office and the chairman's office in gaining their support to move ahead. And we effected a opening of those roadways and repair to a very adequate level in a very short period of time. In fact, one thing that we were able to do is actually beat, I think, everyone's anticipated target date in opening these BLM administered roads. So we were very happy to provide that service. And I also thank the board as well as the county manager for your support in allowing us to assist BLM in their time of need.
Thank you, Mr. Letowski. I'd also like to introduce a guest today. We have the new BLM District Manager, Roxy Troust. Did I say that right?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and Supervisors. I wanted to just introduce myself. I'm Roxy Troust, the new District Manager for the Colorado River District for the BLM, and I look forward to bringing projects that affect the county to you in the future, and I'm available to have discussion, and I look forward to meeting with all of you. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. I need a motion for the approval of the June 4th, July 2nd, July 23rd, 2012 Board of Supervisors meeting minutes.
Having read those, I motion for acceptance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will start off with a presentation of awards to the Leader of the Pack contributors to the 2012 Coyote Youth Summer Program. If the board members would join me down front, and Mr. Renso, we'll turn over to you.
Supervisor Johnson, Supervisor Watson, Supervisor Sockwell, good morning. We finished another successful summer Coyote Youth program wherein we serve approximately 82 youth in the entire community. I'm very proud to say that our Coyote program is one of the best practice for the youth program in the entire state. The state recognizes the partnerships we develop with the private sectors, other community organizations, and other government entities which provide support for the summer program to supplement the federal funds that we get from the Department of Labor. These partnerships generate additional funds pledged for the program, in-kind contributions for projects, and professional expertise to mentor the youth in the work sites for the summer. On consent item number 75, I'm happy to present that we have generated about 89,000 funds pledged and in-kind contribution from non-governmental areas. Several work sites used to train the youth on job skills and work readiness were also provided. These are the reasons why our program is the best practice, a showcase of the partnership of the community and its government to mentor our youth who are the future workforce of our community. Last week, we celebrated the youth, community partners, and community services staff another successful summer. And today, we honor and show our appreciation to the leaders of the pack for the Coyote program who provided those important contributions for the program. I would like at this time to call Ms. Jan Miles to present the leaders of the pack, and I'm happy and glad that the Board of Supervisors is here to join us in honoring them today.
Good morning, Supervisors, and I'm very glad to be able to present the leaders of the pack for 2012 to you, representing their organizations. There are a few that we will not call because their representatives have not been able to come this morning, but those that are here include from Kingman, Tony Marabito, representing Home Depot. Okay, Kingman Regional Medical Center, Tommy Taylor. Mohave Community Federal Credit Union, Kingman, Ann Riley, CEO. Mohave County Library Administration, Danielle Kroll. Mohave County Library Kingman, Bev Klaus. Mohave County One-Stop Career Centers, Susie Perel Duranzo. Mohave County Probation Department in Kingman, Daryl Reeves. Northwest Arizona Human Resources Association, housed in Kingman, we have Cheryl Smith, Liz Albright, and Tommy Taylor representing that group. Unisource Energy Services in Kingman, Raymond Tapia, who I have to mention started as a coyote several years ago. Western Arizona Vocational District, the JTED, Betsy Parker, Superintendent. For Kingman, Bullhead, and Lake Havasu, she's represented students in all of those cities. And now from Bullhead City, actually, this gentleman's located in Kingman, but the project was in Bullhead, Arizona Game and Fish, Jeff Pebworth. Mohave County Library, one of our favorite partners as always, Bullhead City, Stella Carlson, and their new library. And Mohave County Probation Department, Bullhead City, Diane Lee. Lake Havasu City, we would ask the Bureau of Land Management, Roxy Truss, we would ask that you come accept their award, if you would, if you're still here, for the BLM. Just right there. Already got an award. And the Mohave County Probation Department, Lake Havasu City, Daryl Reeves accepting for them in Lake Havasu. And finally, the Unisource Energy Services in Lake Havasu City. We're going to ask if Chandra West is not here, Raymond Tapia, would you accept the award for Unisource in Lake Havasu? So again, we thank you so much. These are truly leaders of the pack for our youth program. Thank you, supervisors.
Everybody kind of get closer together.
Project. And resident small business retention, expansion training, next level for entrepreneurs. If the gentlemen want to come up, I'll give them the awards, and then I'd ask them to give a brief presentation so that people understand exactly what you received the awards for.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, supervisors, County Manager Walker. Thank you very much for your support for this important project. The Height Modernization Real-Time Network is a land surveying system that we installed throughout the county, and it will result in future significant savings for elevation surveying in the county. It will greatly enhance customer service and benefit all future engineering and surveying work. Labor costs will be significantly reduced, and a project can be completed in a fraction of time when compared to a conventional land surveying. Basically, it will consist of a one-man crew instead of a full survey crew going out and doing the survey, and they're using a system that is similar to GPS, but it's a well-calibrated system, will give survey accuracy. The use of the system will also save money and expedite floodplain studies and floodplain elevation certificates. The really great benefit of the system will also be that it will be made available to any user at no cost, such as property owners, builders, developers, and existing industries. The fieldwork for this project was accomplished by multi-agency cooperation. Employees of the Flood Control District, Public Works Department, the cities of Kingman and Bullhead City worked shoulder to shoulder with volunteers of local consultants, engineers, surveyors, which resulted in significant cost savings for the installation. I want to thank all the volunteers and our employees for the dedicated hard work. Shannon Summers, Jason Foose, and Fred Weyer-Miller took the lead, and the hard work of their teams is especially appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Supervisors Watson, Supervisor Sockwell, County Manager Walker. The justice system reform began as a concept in 2009 and began with the consolidation of indigent defense oversight and a consolidated liaison of all the criminal justice agencies, including the courts, county attorney, and the sheriff's office. The initial savings we had was a $20,000 direct cost savings, and we anticipated roughly a $200,000 a year positive net impact. However, the actual results have shown a 33% reduction in the use of outside criminal attorneys, resulting in a savings of $160,000 per year. Additionally, an increase in cost recovery of the costs associated with the prosecution of cases out of the Kingman prison. Prior, the cost recovery had been roughly $50,000 a year. We've now reached a level of $500,000 in cost recovery from the cost of prison prosecution per year. Those projects could not have been accomplished without the coordination and cooperation of Sheriff Sheehan, County Attorney Matt Smith, Clerk of the Court Verlin Tennell. All have been very instrumental in tracking and providing those costs so we can recover those. In total, the program now achieves cost savings or increased cost revenue of roughly $750,000 each and every year as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. LeBecq.
Good morning, Supervisors, County Manager Walker. Obviously, we first need to give thanks to the Board of Supervisors and to the County Manager for allowing this pilot program to proceed. Without that support, there would be no NACO award, and the outcomes I'm going to share with you this morning would not have occurred. During the fall of 2011, the Mohave County Economic Development Department, we partnered with the Mohave Small Business Development Center to offer a total of 11 competitive scholarships to qualified Mohave small business owners for participation in the Next Level for Entrepreneurs 12-week course. The program was targeted at resident small business owners which have been in business in Mohave County for at least 2 consecutive years and are currently poised for growth. Small business owners that submitted their written interest in participating in the program were evaluated and selected based upon their potential ability to provide economic impact to the Mohave region through job creation and job retention, sales revenue growth, and new capital formation. The 11 Mohave small business owners selected through the competitive screening process were provided scholarships to attend the 12-week Next Level course. Course curriculum covered such business topics as operations efficiency, financial management tools used to identify trends, responding to economic conditions, improving sales, cash flow management, and growth strategies. In addition, each week, the Next Level course utilized subject-specific experts in finance, advertising, you name it, from throughout the Mohave region to deliver that curriculum. On average, small business owners that successfully complete the Next Level training experience a 32% increase in gross sales and create 1.5 net new jobs within 1 year after Next Level graduation. In addition, those Next Level graduates with companies with annual gross sales less than $200,000 experience an even more dramatic success rate with an average increase in sales of over 200%. The Mohave County Economic Development Department's overall goals are to increase regional employment opportunities, population, and tax base, and to help our businesses grow and compete in today's global economy. Strengthening Mohave resident small business owners so they can compete and create additional jobs and revenues is just as valid as attracting an outside company into the county. In addition, on average, it costs roughly 4 times less to do so. This concept of growing the regional economy from the inside out is commonly referred to as economic gardening, which began in Littleton, Colorado. The first Mohave Next Level cohorts finished in December of 2011 with a total of 11 Next Level graduates from Kingman, Lake Havasu City, and Bullhead City. I'm pleased to report that within the first 7 months of 2012, these small business owners have created a total of 15 net new jobs, retained 10 jobs that would have otherwise been eliminated, experienced a cumulative total of $326,090 in increased sales over the previous year, and have generated a new capital formation of $410,800. All of this economic activity was generated from a program with a total budget of $8,500. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lingenfelter. We'd like to congratulate those departments for their being recognized by the National Association of Counties. Also, I see in the audience is our Mayor Mark Nexon from Lake Havasu City. We're glad to see you here, keeping an eye on us. Next, we will do our consent, items 5 through 91. We'll do those in one motion unless there's items pulled. Supervisor Sockwell, do you have anything?
Nothing this morning.
Supervisor Watson?
No, not pulling anything.
I'd pull item number 33 for a date change. So I need a motion to approve items 5 through 91 minus item 33.
Motion to approve.
Second motion.
A motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 33, I would make a motion to accept it with changing the date to July 26th for the contract.
Second motion.
A motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 92 is a public hearing, discussion, possible action, and adoption of fees for Recorder's Office concerning commercial use, access to the Recorder's documents, and indexing data. I will open the public hearing. I have no one signed up. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to address? See no one, I will close the public hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second motion.
A motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 93 is a public hearing, discussion, possible action concerning adoption of the revised fee schedule for the Assessor's Office effective August 6, 2012. It is a public hearing. I will open the public hearing. I have no one signed up. Is there anyone here who would like to address the board? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on item number 93?
Make motion to adopt
Second.
adoption of the revised schedule for the Assessor's Office effective August 6, 2012.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 94A is also a public hearing, discussion, possible action, adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution 2012-123. I will open the public hearing. I have no one signed up for 94A. Is there anyone here who wish to?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Do you want to address the board on 94A? Step forward, identify yourself, your name and address, please.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Janice Palmer. I'm from Kingman.
Yeah, your address, please. Your address. We just need it for the record.
I live here in Kingman.
Do you have like a street address, or do you live in the whole city?
I live in a house, or apartment.
Can you just give us the address for the record, please?
3180 Harrison.
Thank you.
I would like to address this thing about the recreational park that you're putting in Lake Havasu. Why are funds being diverted from Kingman to go to a recreational park in Lake Havasu when Kingman is poor enough as it is, and Havasu, I'm sure, has plenty of money in their services over there? Also, on the budget part of it, it seems that you gentlemen are always saying that you don't have enough money to spend and keep within the budget, but yet you're going to build a recreation park when we need flood control projects over here, fire, police, and several other things. Now, this is a great concern to a lot of people who live here. It doesn't seem right. And I can guarantee you one thing. On election day, you gentlemen will hear about it.
Mr. Chairman, whatever she just said isn't right, because we're not building anything. It's merely an item directing to the general plan. So none of that had anything to do with this particular item, in my opinion. So.
Yes. Is there anybody else who would like to address the board? I will close the public hearing. Item number 94A was approved unanimously by the commission. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second the motion.
Motion is second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 94B is a public hearing which I will open. Adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution 2012-124 for a rezone. Commission approved by unanimous vote. I have no one signed up. Is there anyone who would like to address the board? Hearing no one, I will close the public hearing. It's the pleasure of the board.
Make a motion for the adoption of board resolution number 2012-124 for the rezone.
Motion, second motion.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 95A is a public hearing which I will open. It's adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution 2012-125, amendment to the Mohave General Plan. I do have someone signed up if we have questions. I believe it's the applicant. So is there anybody else at the public hearing who would like to address the board? Please come forward and
Good morning, Honorable Chairman, Supervisors. I did fill out a request to speak, so I
don't have it here. Can you give me your name and address again,
Yes, my name is Kathy Tackett Hicks. I live at 3751 Martingale. I'm also a property owner in the White Hills area, and I've worked on numerous developments in that area. I'm very pleased that the supervisors support renewable energy. We have a lot of opportunity in Mohave County, and I do support this project. But what I am going to ask you to do is please instill a buffer area around some of those private property areas. The approvals go right up to those private property areas, and when you have disclosure statements required through the Department of Real Estate, I think there are 465 individual 1-acre lots right there that whole subdivision butts directly on that line. The Mardian Ranch area plan and the regs do require that we look at some of these approved area plans, and it appears that was either forgotten or totally disregarded, but there is an approved area plan for several of these sections. So I would just ask that you please approve a buffer. It's common for every renewable project. I work on them all across the Southwest and the Southeast. Every project like this has a buffer. And so I would ask you to please do that to protect the opportunity for tax revenue on these private properties. If you have any questions, I'm happy to respond.
Did you bring that up to the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I did not, because I thought it was going to be instituted. I did not fill out a planning sheet, or I would have done that. And our other option was only to appeal the process for the consideration for a minor, which the goal is not to stop the project, but the goal is to protect the private.
Thank you. Any questions?
No question.
Is there anybody else who'd like to address the board? Do the members want to hear from the applicant, or do you have enough information already?
I think I have enough information.
Do you have enough information? You don't need to hear from the applicant?
Well, I don't know why. What about authority? What kind of authority? This is BLM land. I guess, do we have the authority to require BLM to have a setback?
Mr. Chairman, I can, the answer is it's on federal land, and if the BLM decided that they weren't going to cooperate, which, by the way, they have completely, they pretty much could do what they want on their own land. I think the issue between the minor amendment, it's actually in the general plan relative to the minor amendment. So I think it would pretty much, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, be up to the applicant relative to any additional extractions we may ask relative to the buffer. I mean, it doesn't sound like a bad idea, but I think it would require BP's willingness to do that. I don't know, is the applicant here? Am I right or wrong, sir?
Thank you. Daniel Runyon for BP Wind Energy.
You have an address for us, sir, for the record?
Sure, 700 Louisiana Street, Houston, Texas. So as part of the permitting for this application, we are going through a federal environmental impact statement process, and we have invited the public to come out numerous times, approximately 9 times throughout the process. We do have 3 alternatives that are proposed as part of the project. Alternative A, which is the alternative sponsored by BP Wind Energy, and then alternatives B and C. Each of those 3 alternatives, plus the no action alternative, which is alternative D, will provide a buffer to the neighboring properties. The boundary lines will go up to the property lines, as Mrs. Kathy Tackett's hits highlighted, but we are required through the BLM to maintain a quarter-mile setback for turbines from the nearest property boundary line, and we do intend to comply with that.
I have a question for Mr. Runyon.
You have a question?
Mr. Runyon, would it be possible for BP to entertain the thought of a half mile instead of a quarter of a mile?
That is actually part of alternative C, as it is highlighted in the application, and we are considering that. We have not made a commitment at this time, as we do need to maintain an economically viable project, but we will consider that.
Thank you, Mr. Runyon.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I will close the public hearing. Do we have a motion from the board?
I'd like to make a motion for the adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution number 2012, number 125, but I would like to interject that Program C that indicates a half-mile buffer zone would be my preference.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign.
Mr. Chairman, I'm seeing a confused look on the clerk's face here. A preference, I mean, you want to weigh in on that one? I mean, I'm not clear on what that really means as far as a resolution would mean. I have to defer to the attorney.
Mr. Chairman, I believe Mr. Watson's resolution contemplated a request that that's what they consider. We're not requiring it because I don't think we can under these circumstances, but we can certainly publicly express our preference as they have indicated that they're willing to consider that.
You got it, Ms. Bracken? Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign, motion carries. 95B is a public hearing, discussion adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution 2012-126. It's a rezone. I will open the public hearing. I have no one signed up. We'll close the public hearing. Item number 95B. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve.
Second the motion. Question, would that also include the buffer?
I'll add that onto my motion.
Second the motion.
The motion is second, no further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign, motion carries. Item number 96 is a public hearing, adoption Board of Supervisors Resolution 2012-127, rescind and cause the property to revert from C2 and C2H to its former zoning classification AR10A. I will open the public hearing. I have no one signed up. Is anyone here who wishes to address the board? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing. Do I have a motion on item number 96?
Make a motion to rescind.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 97 is a public hearing, discussion, possible action, adoption of Board of Mohave County Ordinance number 2012-04. It's amend the Mohave County zoning ordinance, section 6, incorrect or omitted information to clarify the minimum level of information necessary to review an application. I have no one signed up. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board? I will close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion for the adoption of Mohave County Ordinance number 2012-04, amending the county zoning ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 98 is discussion 2012-13 Mohave County tax levies and rates. The adoption of the rate is scheduled for August 20th, 2012, so this is a discussion only item. There will be no action taken on this item. It is a public hearing. I will open the public hearing. I do have people signed up. Victoria O'Connor Ward.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Supervisors.
And please give your address, Ms. Ward, please. Thank you.
7027 West Dawson.
Thank you.
Okay, before the Bullhead City branch of the county library's expansion was even started and its grand opening held last week, so congratulations are in order, there was a considerable discussion about reducing the rate for the district. Chairman Johnson often promoted the idea of lowering the levy rate and was rebuffed. Chairman Johnson, your district pays a higher ratio of property taxes when compared to the other two districts, and that will likely be true in the newly drawn District 3. Since the library is completed and often there is a $8.5 million in reserves, and all of it due to overtaxation. Isn't it time to reduce the rates using up some of the reserves? It's clearly unfair to the taxpayers to overtax them, building up higher reserves, and keep on screwing them over.
Thank you, ma'am. Stephen Robinson.
My name is Stephen Robinson. I live at 3439 North Bowie Road, Golden Valley. Chairman Johnson, Supervisors Sockwell and Watson. The proposed primary property tax levy rate has not yet been approved, except as estimated in the tentative budget. This was last year's rate carried forward. There was a claim in the paper that there was going to be a $3 million shortfall. However, as I looked at last year's budget on page 17, that is titled All Funds, Resources, and Spending Trend. I noticed an interesting statement at the bottom of the page. Quote, there is $100 million budgeted as fund balance and contingency that is unlikely to be spent. Even more interesting are the actual balances of the major funds for the county, general, and special revenue funds. According to the Treasurer's reports, these funds also show significantly large balances as of the end of last month for the fiscal year ended 2012. In fact, there are millions of dollars set aside in the various departments. For example, the Elections Department currently has $600,000 set aside for future purchases of equipment. And in the 2010 budget hearing workshop, Alan Tempert spoke here and said he was pleased that he had $600,000 available to him where he would not have to come back to the board to ask for money. And I have a question. Why would we have a situation where people could not come back to the board and ask for the money they need in the future, and instead they have the money already reserved? Another example of that is there's over $7.5 million in future vehicle purchases in that reserve fund. So they don't ever have to come back to the board except for, it's already budgeted, set aside, as if it's an absolute need that we need that money set aside. You do that, and then you turn around and you say to the Sheriff's Department, you need to cut 17 deputies. There are many more examples. For instance, in the Information Technology Fund, Communications Funds, and County Parks. The page shows that there is over $100 million in funds. Even if we eliminate the road fund, landfill fund, and other special taxing districts and restricted accounts, there are easily $50 million in contingency funds that you could reduce the primary property tax rate by 25% down to $1.34 for the next 4 years and not use up all the reserves. So do all these excessive reserves exist? Certainly. You don't have to have a lot more buildings to build, I don't think. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Louis Tranca?
My name is Louis Tranca. I live at 152 South Emory Park Road, Golden Valley, Arizona. I'd like to thank the Board of Supervisors allowing me to speak and the county officers. As had been pointed out in the past 2 years, property values have dropped significantly. In fact, Mr. Timko has pointed this out in the last 2 budgets for 2011 and 2012 with virtually identical language. Mr. Timko's desire for more money was evident in last year's book where he states that the voters approved Proposition 101 limitations have reduced Mohave County tax revenues to $33.9 million. Over the past 6 years, based on these limitations, you have argued that the law requires you to maintain a 2% increase. The reality is this is a cap and not a mandatory increase. This year, however, even though there is another drop in valuation, they are not requesting a levy rate increase to maintain the statutory 2% increase. Is that because it's the election year or the supervisors told you not to? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tranca. I believe it's Ms. Alicia Fisk. Is that right? Is it Alicia?
Alicia.
Alicia, okay.
Just don't call me a mean name. The County TV Improvement District levy rate should be based on a budget which has not been submitted or approved. If expenses are being charged that don't belong to the district, the levy rate will be too high. In regards to the TV district expenditures, the backup material provided by Matt Smith to Dave Rosema showed Ms. Yvonne Orr receives 50% of her salary from the TV Improvement District. The budget shows another 20% full-time employment personal expense. It appears that 20% of our County Manager Walker's salary is paid out of the TV district as well. Is that correct? And if so, why do either of them get paid anything out of this fund, since less than 5% of their time is spent on issues related to this district? Is this simply an unauthorized sweep?
Thank you. Ms. Liz Albright.
My name is Liz Albright. I live at 15161 Holly, Dolan Springs, Arizona. Chairman Johnson, Supervisor Sockwell, Supervisor Watson. On August 3rd, 2009, Board of Supervisors meeting, item number 56, Manager Walker stated that if we take a historical walk down these tax rates, we are at $1.75 when Proposition 101 was initiated, and we are now at $1.26. He stated that we still have to maintain a balanced budget. Deputy County Manager Timko advised that this represents a reduction of 48.63 cents per hundred in the tax rate over the last 4 years, which is an average of 7% per year decrease. A motion was made by Chairman Sockwell, seconded by Supervisor Watson, and unanimously carried to approve the adoption of the primary property tax rate of $1.2637 for Mohave County for budget year 2009-2010. In the 4 years after the voter-approved Proposition 101 was passed, the primary property tax levy rate was reduced from $1.75 to $1.2637. The minutes showed that County Manager, Finance Director, and members of the board opposed Proposition 101. This initiative limited increase of the primary property tax revenue to 2% per year, plus new construction. In spite of this limit, primary property taxes collected increased from $24 million in 2006 to $35 million in the past year, an $11 million increase over that time. General fund spending has also increased by nearly $10 million. Then over the past 2 years, that tax rate skyrocketed to $1.8196, which resulted in higher projected revenues for almost $5 million. That rate is maintained for the current fiscal year. Finally, over the past 10 years, primary property taxes have doubled from $17 million to $35 million. Why does the board tell citizens our taxes are going down and that we need to pay more? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Toby Cotter.
Good morning. Good morning, Chairman Johnson and Supervisor Sockwell and Watson. My name is Toby Cotter. I'm the city manager for Bullhead City. Last meeting I spoke certainly in favor of the flood control tax levy, and that's again why I'm here today. Essentially, again, I know it's not a real favorable position to be here speaking in Kingman in front of the county board advocating for higher taxes or a taxation of any kind, quite frankly, but I'm the first one who, you know, in that line of fire after a flood or after a major storm hits, much like you are, who gets the emails and phone calls. So last Tuesday, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, Bullhead City got about 1.5 inches of rain in about an hour. We're not prepared for that type of storm, of course. We live in the desert, right? So it didn't even happen all over the whole city. It only happened in a small part of our original Bullhead City, our north Bullhead City area where Davis Camp is, and sort of in that area across from the Laughlin casinos. We're still trying to clean up after that mess. And so after that, I asked our Public Works Department, how many phone calls, emails do we get directly related to infrastructure needs? And these aren't huge projects. Some of them could turn into that. But so we had over 30 emails and phone calls from the storm of last Tuesday. And those are things like my ditches need to be extended, curbing needs to be added, other basic infrastructure is needed in certain areas. So while over the past 20 years we've been focusing on a lot of big projects and we still have many more to go, these little projects are the ones that are really important to a lot of our residents. So we've got multiple shovel-ready projects to go down by our Chaparral Golf Course, our Silver Creek Road, a major road by our hospital. The slope is starting to fall in because of a flood issue, really, that's coming off of Silver Creek Road. Our Buena Vista neighborhood needs millions of dollars in flood control improvements, and I could go on and on. So really, my plea, of course, is we need to retain that levy here in the county. And I know, again, it's not popular, but hopefully our county residents understand it's not just in Bullhead City, but throughout the county, there are flood improvement projects that are needed that will extend the life of many, many properties. The devastation that occurs when you talk to folks after they've been hit by a storm, it hurts. It hurts them and their families. And unfortunately, recently in Havasu, it was someone's life that was lost. So, I mean, it's a plea, but it should be a passionate plea for us to keep investing in flood control projects throughout the county. Of course, I have a job to do, and my job is to make sure we get those flood control dollars back in Bullhead City as well. So with that, again, I support what the county is doing through the levy for the flood control district. I, again, make a continued request that we receive our funding. We need it now, we really do, and I'm not sure what the progress has been made and when we'll actually get that, but certainly I'd be happy to talk to the county manager and look forward to getting our funds as soon as we possibly can. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Cotter. That's the last person signed up for item 98. See no one else, I will close the public hearing. There's no action needed on this item. There's no. Mr. Timko?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. An awful lot of speculation out there and a lot of people doing the research. I'd like to present the board with some facts about the tax revenues generated by the county. This board has now, with adopting these rates, will be the 4 years of rates that you have adopted. And during that time, each of those years, the total taxes collected by the county has decreased. That's when you add the revenue generated from the library district, television district, flood control district, and a primary levy. In each of those 4 years that this board has acted, there has been a reduction in the total taxes collected by the county. In FY10 versus 09, it was 703,000 reduction. In FY11, 4,700,000. FY12, 4,382,000. And in this current proposal, the taxes this year compared to last year, when you eliminate the new construction, are going down $4.9 million. The county will take that much less out of the community through our tax bills this year than we did last year. The total during the 4 years of your tenure as a board, $14,687,000 of reduced taxes, even though some of our rates went up, even though some of the rates stayed the same. You always have to multiply the rate times the assessed value to determine how much money the county is going to collect. And this year, we're collecting $4.9 million less on the properties that were there and taxed the preceding year. I think you should be congratulated, not ostracized. Thank you very much.
Mr. Timko, another thing that was brought up was vehicles and computers and those funds. That's something that the recommendation that staff brought to the board. I'm not sure which board we brought it to because it's been a while we've had it in place, but those funds are set aside so that it's not a reoccurring lump sum. These vehicles and computers are replaced as needed, and those funds are set aside. So if we were to take those funds and spend them, and all of a sudden when the vehicles need to be replaced every year, we would have to pull that money out of the general fund. So.
That's correct, Mr. Chairman. If you'd allow me, when I arrived at the county in January of 2002, the general situation was most of the county's computers could not open up attachments that were sent to us from other entities because our computers were so old. Most of our vehicles, our average vehicle life at the time we undertook our vehicle renovation program, our average vehicle life was somewhere around 7.5 to 8 years was the age, the average age of our vehicles. It was nothing to see driving from here to Lake Havasu to see a county squad car on the side of a road with another squad car and the hood up because the car broke down. We have risk management issues with people being in safe cars. And so what we did, and I think this was in 2003 or 2004, we decided that replacing cars and replacing computers is going to be an ongoing need of the county, not a sporadic need. It's just a fact. If you don't replace your computers every 3 years, you might as well not have computers. If you don't replace your cars every 6 years, you're putting people's lives in danger. And that's just a fact, and all you need to do is look at best practices from rental agencies and see what they do with their cars. So at that time, we decided that we would lease our computers on 3-year leases, which meant every 3 years we would replace all the computers, a third essentially each year. In doing that, the lease cost became an operating cost, not a capital cost. And so every year, the cost of our lease computers has gone down. The average that we pay to lease a computer for 3 years in the county, and I have to point out that the courts, because their computers are handled through the state system, are not in this plan, but for everybody except the courts, we've been replacing computers every 3 years and reducing the cost of having computers. Likewise with vehicles, we currently have a vehicle fleet that is in very good shape, certainly compared to when I got here in 2002. Every time we buy a new car, we expect it to last for 6 years and 120,000 miles. That's our standard. And so when a department gets a new car, they also get in their budget a charge of 1/6 of the value of that new car. It gets charged to their budget each year for the next 6 years. It goes into this vehicle replacement fund that was referred to as the $7 million balance. That's the money that's there. When that car 6 years from now needs to be replaced, that's the money that will take care of that. And so both of these are incredibly good business decisions that prevent us, for example, in a year like this, when we barely are able to balance our budget, what if we needed this year that all of our computers had just turned 4 years old? Where is the board going to come up with the capital dollars in a tough year to do that? And so what happens? We put it off for another year. And we do the same thing with cars. If we don't have the capital dollars in this year's budget to buy our cars, if we hadn't prudently set all that money aside, we will be sitting here this year with cars turning from 6 years to 7 years old, 7 years to 8 years old, and we'll be putting people on the road in unsafe vehicles. So this is a very good plan that we have. The reason that the balances are high is because they need to be that high. We've got a fleet of over 200 vehicles that we're replacing 1/6 of every year. And so it's all planned, it's all thought out, and it's all good business.
And didn't you at the same time buy, through Public Works, we're buying extended warranties now, so we've actually cut down on our maintenance staff because more of it's done by local dealers?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, that's absolutely true. When we buy a new vehicle, we buy the extended warranty to cover it for 120,000 miles, so that our maintenance shop never has to take care of any major maintenance. We've also reduced that cost substantially, and our cars at the end of 120,000 miles and 6 years are sold at auction, and that money also goes into the vehicle replacement fund. That helps us to cover the cost of inflation and the price of cars.
Thank you. Do you have a question, Supervisor Watson?
No, I don't have any questions, although I do have a comment to make that in 2008, the net assessed evaluation for Mohave County was $3 billion. The net assessed evaluation for 2011, it has dropped down to $1,997,000 million. That represents a dramatic drop in the net assessed evaluation. And that further goes to exemplify what Mr. Timko was saying.
Thank you. Anything, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I have no comment. I just, one thing I would like to say, we have put GIS on our road graders, folks. We had a fleet of 25 road graders in this county, and today we're running 19 road graders. So if you don't think we put a little bit of thought into what we're doing, think it over again.
All right, we'll go to item number 99 now. There we go. It's a public hearing, discussion, possible action, adoption of Board of Supervisors Resolution 2012-108. It's adoption of the Mohave County budget for fiscal year 2012 through 2013 and the amounts recommended by staff with the general fund budget approved as a modified lump sum budget. I will open the public.
Mr. Chairman, before we get into a public hearing on this, I would like to go ahead and make a motion that we give all the cities their maximum amount of flood control money this year, because the last few days we have had some heavy rain in some of the areas that has caused a lot of problem. So therefore, that is my motion to fund the cities fully with flood control money.
I applaud your motion and second it.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, then, the county then will take the city's half, where we had basically divided up the cuts between the cities and the unincorporated areas. So is it that we'll take those flood control funds out of the county's portion, just so we know which budget? Is that, would that be your motion, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
As with my second.
Now, if I can get control back at the meeting, I'll have the public hearing, and and we'll call Mayor Nexon up first. I know he's got a lot of work to do. And
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my speech is a little moot at this point. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak. And I was here to urge you to not sweep flood control funds, so I appreciate the motion that is on the table. I believe, as I've said in a letter to you, that there is a better way. And I believe that there is no doubt that the Sheriff Sheehan does an excellent job and should be fully funded as well. Public safety is a priority of county citizens and city citizens alike. I believe that the best way to deal with this is through the TV fund. Mr. Timko had indicated at the July 2nd meeting that there is an $8 million fund balance in the television district, and that the annual operating budget is roughly $600,000. He also made it clear that recent events indicated that the balance is no longer designated for any specific purpose, since the upgrade to digital transmissions will not be borne by the TV district. So once again, I appreciate the motion on the table. As you all have recognized, that Lake Havasu, as well as the other cities, have been hit hard by floods. I've spent the better part of the last 2 weeks visiting citizens, visiting the damage, and all of them would be very astonished that those funds would be swept, especially when they're telling me that we have got to do something, and I don't disagree. We do need to do something. So thanks again for your time.
thank you, sir. Charlie Cassens.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson and supervisors. I was prepared to stand here before you and protest the sweeping of the flood control funds in any way, shape, or form. For obvious reasons, we are in support of the motion that's on the table. So I will relinquish my time back to the discussion at the board, and will be anxiously awaiting your action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cassens. Joy Brotherton.
Good morning, Chairman Johnson.
All right.
Supervisor Watson and Sockwell. I'm Joy Brotherton. I live at 1655 East Sierra Vista in Kingman, or just outside of Kingman. And my question is on the debt service fund. It looks like at the end of June, we had about $18 million available there in the debt service fund. Actual expenditures for 2012 were 7.7 million approximately. And then it tells me that there's a fund balance July 1, a day later, of a minus $2 million. And I was just wondering what happened to about $9 million in one day, how that could disappear in just a day. That is the first part of my question. Next, I see where in 2013 there has been an interfund transfer of $25 million, a little over $25 million, into this fund. And that's approximately 4 times what our debt service should be for that year. And I was just wondering if there's some sort of explanation for that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Janice Palmer? Mr. Steve Robinson?
Good morning, Supervisor Watson, Sockwell, and Chairman Johnson. I'll leave this back here because I wanted to address what Mr. Timko said. The only fund that you have direct control over is the property tax fund. And if you look at that top line, it has doubled in property tax revenues over the last 10 years. The proposed revenue amount for 2012 was $35 million, and in 2002, it was $17 million. So I believe the one thing you do control is the property tax funds. Sales tax, HERF funds, and all that, you don't have any direct control over. Now, regarding the budget, according to the earliest available meeting minutes for the Board of Supervisors, Manager Walker states that having a substantial contingency fund was of paramount importance. As you can see on the list of quotations from the budget workshops in the past, Mr. Walker has pointed out the need for successful improvement of the budget under his direction. Currently, as of the end of 2012, there was $11 million identified in last year's contingency fund for the general funds. So it was quite surprising, based on all these statements by Mr. Walker, that this year he and Mr. Timko decided to move $10 million from that reserve fund to the debt service fund. In fact, Director Timko and Manager Walker are taking the contingency fund levels down to 2001 level, which was about $1 million. This begs the question, Supervisor Watson, you have said that 98% of what Manager Walker does is good, but do you endorse this decision to gut the contingency fund in the light of his past statements? I reserve the balance for any of my time.
You have something else?
Well, I'd like an answer. Is this a good way of budgeting to take, because we just heard about how important it is to have reserve funds budgeted for the different departments, and the question may be how much is needed. But here you, according to the current budget that was tentatively approved 1 month ago, there shows a reduction of $10 million in the line item, the last line item for contingency fund. It was $11 million and change last year, and now it's $1 million. I just wonder why they did that.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Ms. Liz Albright?
Mr. Chairman, if I can answer that simply.
Why don't we do that when
we didn't.
Let everybody finish.
Okay, we didn't.
Yeah, right. That way we can speed up at least the public comment, and then we'll get to the answers. Ms. Albright.
My name is Liz Albright. I live at 15161 Holly, Dolan Springs, Arizona. Chairman Johnson, Supervisor Sockwell, Supervisor Watson. First thing I'm going to put down here is an Arizona Revised State Statute 17106, and it's expenditures limited to budgeted purposes, transfer of monies. I hope. Oop. The Board of Supervisors has designated the county manager as their agent to monitor and administer the budget working through the Financial Services Department. The final budget adopted by the Board of Supervisors cannot be increased during the fiscal year except for certain grant-related funds. This requires that the budgets that the budgets be developed at 100% of total estimated resources, levels including contingencies, so that changes can be accommodated. Any budget modification to increase personnel or use of general fund contingencies appropriations requires Board of Supervisor approval. Arizona law generally prohibits increases in budget appropriations of the general fund after the Board of Supervisors adopts the tentative budget. The county therefore appropriates 100% of the estimated available resources, including carrying forward fund balances. To accomplish this 100% budgeting, each fund includes a contingency appropriation that is a separately budgeted activity in the general fund and a separate object of expenditure for other funds. The Board of Supervisors approves the use and transfer of general fund contingencies during this year. The county manager or financial service director approves other funds' contingency use. My question is, the annual budget book describes the budget process. It states that the supervisors designate County Manager Ron Walker through John Timko's Financial Services Department as their agent to administer the budget. It further states the county manager or financial services director approves other funds' contingency uses. However, Arizona Revised State Statute 4217106, Section B, gives 4 requirements for funds to be moved from one budget item to another, with the last point stating, a majority of the members of the governing board votes affirmatively on the transfer at a public meeting. So nowhere in this section of the law does it give the finance director or county manager the authority to move funds without Board of Supervisors approval. So under what authority does the county manager or finance director move money between the funds?
Thank you, Ms. Sommer.
Thank you for your time.
Mr. Tranka.
Good morning. My name is Louis Tranka. Again, I live at 152 South Emory Park Road. Mr. Chairman, supervisors. Budgets are a nightmare. And it seems that, in my opinion, the public doesn't know much about your budgeting, and you should be more public. According to the budget book in the section titled Budget Process, there's a section titled Budget Calendar. The second bullet point for the March is staff and board workshops to develop board priorities. Through 2008, there were 2 public workshops, one in March and one in June. However, over the last 4 years, there have been no public workshops where the citizens and especially the supervisors could hear from the various department heads and discuss budget priorities. Instead, the finance director, deputy county manager Timko, and county manager Walker meet with all the elected officers and department heads and then distills the information, acting as gatekeepers. And then they present it to the supervisors in private meetings. Under what scenario is it preferable to have public workshops in the light of day, since virtually every other county and city has public workshops? I reserve my time.
Thank you, Mr. Tranka. Mr. Frederick Williams.
Morning, my name is Frederick Williams. Morning, Chairman Johnson, Supervisor Sockwell, Supervisor Watson. I signed up to talk on 101. Is that what we're on now?
Oh, maybe I got carried away, Mr. Williams. I'm sorry, you do have 101. I thought you were for this one. Oh, that was my mistake. I'll call you for 101.
That's one from my side.
All right.
Good for you.
All right, I will close the public hearing. Mr. Timko, Mr. Walker.
Mr. Chairman, I would just point out to the supervisors that the budget that is before you to approve today as the final budget for the county for fiscal year 2013 is identical to the budget that you approved as the tentative budget at your last meeting. There have been no changes.
Mr. Chairman, I guess in general, there were a lot of people asking questions about things that didn't really exist. So I guess the answer as to why did we budget in the way we did? Why did we make the recommendations in the way we did? Why did we do this or why didn't we do that with people that are further away from the process and have no accountability and responsibility for it? It's a pretty simple answer that our priorities revolve around keeping our county missions viable and our services at par. And in light of a major tax cut that Mr. Timko was talking about, we believe what we propose does achieve that. Staff does business planning based on our statutory mandates, our mission, services, and business strategies. And we do that to not to accommodate political planning based on the upcoming elections. We're here to keep the county in business. So staff has reviewed every budget line item for every elected and staff department, including the courts. The budget is a spending plan for the next year that keeps us on mission, maintains the financial stability of the county, the general fund, and the special districts as well. The cumulative numbers set the limit for next year's spending based upon our projected revenues. There were many, many options in this year's budget, and many, many options were discussed. And what you have is a consensus opinion between your constitutional officers, the courts, and staff that this was the most conservative manner in which to do that. It is the most efficient and effective manner to accomplish the mission priorities for another year. So the answer of why did we do what we did, that's the answer. We believe that this is the most conservative, effective, and efficient manner to get our county missions going for one more year. In general, that is it. And again, Mr. Timko said there have been no changes in recommendations, no between the tentative budget and this one.
Have you, without advising you of counsel, have you been moving funds without proper authorization?
No, sir.
Ms. Timko.
If I could address that. When you approve this budget, you will approve for every fund other than the general fund a line item of contingency, and you will allow in that budget for that contingency to be transferred to other line items based on the needs of the department. The only contingency that you don't budget carte blanche is the general fund contingency. And every single time general fund contingency is used, it is used only after it's approved by this board at a board meeting.
Mr. Walker.
And we've done that multiple times this year. If you recall the problem we got into with health services at the jail, we approved several $100,000 of contingency transfer. In no instance is contingency money from the general fund ever used unless it has prior authorization from the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Call for the questions. We have a motion on the floor.
The motion on the floor, if I have it correctly, is to approve this budget, but to take funds that are going that were going to be appropriated from from flood control, and take it all out of the county's flood control. I have a problem with that myself. I think the county has just as much responsibility as anybody else does. Obviously, I wasn't in support of taking flood control money to begin with, and I will state my point again that I think Mr. Gertler's here, and I would just as soon take all the money from the courts as I would take any flood control money. So that is my statement. Nothing further?
Mr. Chairman, I'm just asking the county attorney, in light of the discussion, should we have a vote on the amendment? Would that be appropriate?
Yes, I think it would be.
Okay, we have an amendment before us. Everybody understands the amendment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Now for the amended motion. For the budget, well, it's to take all the funds from flood control from the county's portion.
That was in part of the first motion.
That was the amended motion. The county attorney wanted us to do an amended motion first and now do.
I think you need a motion now to approve the.
Now we need a motion to, as amended, right. So we need a motion to approve the budget as amended. Somebody like to make a motion to approve the amended budget?
Motion to approve the amended budget.
Second the
We
motion.
have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 100, discussion possible action, approve legislative proposals for Mohave County's 2013 legislative program, allowing for additional items to be brought to the board for consideration. Manager Walker.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'm going to ask first our Deputy County Manager for Criminal Justice to come up and talk about.
How about we take a 5-minute break before we get him up here, because I know how long.
And then after that.
All right, we'll take a 5-minute
Okay.
break. everybody start moving towards the seats? And we'll call the meeting back to order. Mr. Levack, please.
Thank you, Chairman Johnson, Supervisor Stockwell, Supervisor Watson. The only item we have before the board this year for consideration by CSA in the agenda is to attack a practice that Visa has within our state, which is requiring that all merchants are prohibited from charging a convenience fee, passing it down to the customer in a face-to-face transaction. Every other card allows it regardless. What that essentially means, particularly to our courts, if someone comes in to pay a fine, a fee, or a filing fee with a Visa card, the courts have to eat that fee. Right now, that runs about $25,000 a year just for our county, just in the clerk of the courts area. Every other card allows that transaction fee to be passed down to the consumer, and rather than passing that on to our entire tax base, we're going to go and seek legislation that allows us to charge that consumer directly and prohibits Visa's practice within the state, at least among government agencies.
Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Levack?
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think, Mr. Hendricks, you had some?
Mr. Chairman, Supervisor Watson, and Supervisor Stockwell, yes, I do have a legislative change that I'd like to propose to you all to support. What we're proposing is some changes to the county highway statutes, the county highway maintenance statutes, and also the county highway primitive road statutes. Basically, it's my opinion that the statutes have been somewhat convoluted over the years and don't actually mean what they should say. So we looked at the county highway statutes, and we want to clarify that the board has the authority to declare a county highway, and that a county highway can also be declared through a petition process. We want to clarify the maintenance statutes to give the counties and the Board of Supervisors more flexibility to utilize state-of-the-art products, which are now prohibited to be used on our roadways for maintenance. And our proposal will also open up some of the possibilities of these products being bid out and performed by the Registrar of Contractors Association, which now most of maintenance is just done in-house. And we're also trying to provide the counties a little bit more protection against liability for our primitive roads. And I believe our primitive road statutes now are written in such a way that we don't provide justice to our traveling public, and this will allow us to post roadways that can't be conventionally posted as in accordance with the manual on uniform traffic control devices. We'll be able to post them primitive so that we can better warn our traveling public of hazardous conditions along those roadways. In promoting these changes, I've met, and Nick Hunt, Steve Letowski has met with the County Engineers Association. And on Wednesday, we're going to be going down and talking to the president of the AGC, David Martin, and seeing if we can enlist their support. And then, as in accordance with our process, we presented it to Ron Walker and through you all today to go through CSA and see if they'll support this legislative change. And I ask for your support today. Thank you very much.
Any questions of Hendricks? No? Nope.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we'd need a motion, I think, so we can consider this the official agenda.
Right. What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to approve the legislative proposals as are indicated by both parties.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 101 is discussion possible action directing staff to draft a letter for chairman's signature to the governor in support of a privately funded toll road in Mohave County. I would make a motion for discussion.
So moved.
Motion and a second. This is my item. I brought it forward. The state is going ahead and they've got federal funding in the millions of dollars to widen the road from Tucson to Vegas. And I have no problem with that, except it actually just increases the two biggest population areas we have in the state, and without costing the state or the county or anybody any money, and while the land is still vacant, I think the best economic benefit to our state would be a toll road that goes from Yuma up through La Paz County, and then would probably hit in, it would probably come through Yucca somewhere to hook us to the 10, the 8, the 40, all those together, which would obviously increase economic development, industry in all those areas, increases the time of travel for from Vegas. 95 is on one of the corridors for industrial development. This would be at no cost to us. Private funds would take care of it, and while the area is available at the sides, I just thought now while the state is looking at getting money from the feds to widen theirs, maybe the west side of the state could, use a little attention while they're looking at it. That's the reason I brought it forward. And maybe before discussion, I could invite Mr. Williams back down. Would you like to come down again, Mr. Williams, and address the board?
Chairman Johnson, did Supervisor Sockwell second that motion?
I seconded it.
You seconded. Thank you.
Supervisor Sockwell did. In 2 seconds.
Morning, my name is Frederick Williams. Morning, Chairman Johnson, Chairman, Supervisor Sockwell, Supervisor Watson. On this private toll road, this is the first I've ever heard about it. And sitting back up there, we couldn't hear your discussion on it. And what I'd like to know is what company is proposing it? Where are they from? Is it an American company or is it a foreign company? I've been reading up about toll roads. The one in San Diego is in trouble. They're not getting as much traffic or revenue on it. The same in Texas. They've got a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot of, they've got a number of toll roads there, private toll roads that are in trouble. They're not getting the revenue that they expected, and they're going to the state and counties for money. I think we should really look seriously into this, especially a toll road going through Lake Havasu. You've got the river on one side and the mountains and the airport on the other. How's it going to get through Lake Havasu? And that's about all I have to say on it.
All right, there is no company that is looking at this right now, because obviously it hasn't been proposed yet. We would look to get the state to say we are interested in doing this, because it would be through federal land, state land. And whether it's a foreign company or an American company, that just depends on who bids on it. It wouldn't go through Havasu. It would go through, at least the straightest, quickest route would be probably through the Yucca area and then hit up on the 40 somewhere up outside of Yucca. I'm imagining that would be whatever the quickest and cheapest route to build. What are your other questions? And as far as the private company would decide if it's worth to them to build it at their cost, and they would make their money back. This would not in any way take away from the free roads that we have now. We're not free, we still pay gasoline tax, but the roads that are available to us to drive on without paying a fee would still be there. This would just be a thoroughfare that would open it up to basically truck traffic is what we're looking for, to increase industry. But that doesn't mean that whatever the fee is, if it's $5 and we have a lot of people that go to Mexico for their medications and stuff, they might want to jump on that road, because it might, obviously, if you straighten it out, would save a considerable amount of time. So there wouldn't be any funding from the states or the counties into this, or the federal government.
My thinking was that Arizona is a great tourist state. You put in a private toll road, and people are going to jump on that and bypass Lake Havasu. They're going to bypass a lot of what's in Mohave County. All the truck stops that are here now, they bring money into the county. And you get a private toll road going right up through. To me, it would be just open road for drugs to go from one end of the state to the other.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does any board members have any question? That was just my
Yeah,
idea.
I do have a question.
Supervisor Watson?
As was proposed for the toll road proposition on I-15, there was going to be a local exclusion for folks that lived in the area. Were you proposing a local exclusion for the folks that live in Lake Havasu City or Parker or?
No. No. There'd be an exclusion for no one. They get on the road, they have to pay for it.
Pay for it, get on it and pay for it, huh? And
Because we
this
still have Highway 95 going down there, so that's paid for by the taxpayers' dollars, so you'd still be able to drive that if you liked.
So the letter we're intending to write then is exclusively for this one road that would be from Yuma to north of Lake Havasu City?
Well, it'd probably be closer to Kingman, actually, it'd be on the I-40 out here somewhere outside of Yucco, I would imagine, would be the closest road where you come up through La Paz. And La Paz, when I've talked to them in the past, have been very supportive of this issue. But I haven't talked to them recently about it. But I thought now was a good time because now with the state going after all this federal funds, and while we have our senators supporting the millions of dollars that are coming into the state to help with that Tucson road, I mean, to me, it makes more sense to help, I guess, an undeveloped west coast than it does to help an overdeveloped east coast of the state.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions?
I guess my feeling on this is I have no problem sending a letter to the governor just to get a feel of whether they would be interested in supporting something like this or not. And if they are in support of it or would be in support of it, then we need to really look at doing some kind of a study on this project.
Thank you. So is that do we have a motion yet or not? No, we don't need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we send the letter out and see what kind of response we get on it.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 102 is discussion possible action approval of the appointment of an interim clerk of the board to take Barbara Bracken's place effective September 8th, 2012. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second the motion.
A motion and a second. Ms. Bracken.
We don't have, who are you appointing?
I think they're making a motion for discussion on it, so we just need to make them now for the recommendation.
Yeah.
So do you have a recommendation, Ms. Bracken, that you brought forward to the board? Or it's coming to the county manager?
Mr. Chairman, the recommendation is Ms. Peggy Prince.
So then, do we have a motion, now that we have the motion for discussion, do we have a motion to approve Ms. Peggy Prince as the interim clerk of the board, effective September 8th, 2012?
I'll make a motion to recommend Peggy Prince.
Second that, Supervisor Stockwell?
Oh,
Thank
yes,
you.
second on that, yes.
We have a motion and a second. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.